Hi, my name is Ben. I'm a physical therapist, also director of operations here for the Jackson Clinics. Been working here for 13 years, and I'm actually one of the owners of the Jackson Clinics now. That's a great question. So when I was going to undergrad, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. And when I said that to somebody, they said, "That's adorable. What's your backup plan?" So in undergrad, I did pre-med and thought doctor sounds great. Around my junior year, I started doing all the physician shadowing, and the physicians, I was all in orthopedics because of the sports and ortho that I was interested in. And the physicians I talked to really encouraged me not to join as a surgeon. I expressed to them that I wanted to be, super involved in my kid's life and, do sports with them. And they basically said that they didn't think that was possible in the current state of medicine. So on my final rotation with one of those physicians, they sent me to spend time with one of their physical therapists. And when I went in that setting, the physical therapist seemed super sharp. They were way on top of their game. There was music playing. It wasn't a sterile small room. It was a big open environment. There were weights and, multicolored bands and people being active, laughing, joking. And I really saw myself in that moment in physical therapy. And I switched gears right there, decided to apply to PT school, and the rest is history. Physical therapy school was really the first time in my educational career where I was more motivated to master the material than I was to get a grade. The moment really that solidified for me, where I went to school was University of Delaware, and they have a multiple sclerosis clinic that they do for free for community members as part of our learning process. And in that clinic, which was fairly early on, my first year in PT school, there was a patient who had repeated falls. And me and a couple of the classmates that I was working with were able to figure out what was driving the falls and solve it quickly. And that moment of gratification personally, but more importantly, that moment of gratification for that patient, that's the thrill you seek, the thrill I seek as a physical therapist. It was addictive. So I found out about the Jackson Clinics indirectly. I started out right out of school working for a small practice in Pennsylvania while my wife finished up her master's. And I was really compelled by the owner, seemed like a really great guy. The problem was, a couple weeks in, he told me, "Hey, I'm not the best therapist, but I could sell ice to an Eskimo." And that really put me off. I thought, it's great that you're a good salesman and that people trust you, but I really want to be somewhere where excellence matters, where being amazing at physical therapy drives that confidence, not just being good at selling, but actually having something good to sell. So after my wife finished up her master's, we decided to move back to Virginia to be closer to her family. And I got caught by a recruiter as I was searching for jobs. And I told the recruiter, all I'm looking for is an amazing learning environment. All I want to be, the only place I want to be is somewhere where excellence is the focus. And he started laughing and he kind of pushed away the other papers and said, "Well, there's only one of those." So he slid the paper to me and told me, "This is Jackson Clinics. You need to do an interview and I think you'll find what you're looking for." My journey with the Jackson Clinics has been incredible. So back to that interview day, I interviewed with Cindy Cutright, who's the Director of Administrative Services for us, and was impressed by the Jackson Clinics. It lived up to everything that the recruiter had told me about. And then about 30 minutes later, I was driving home and Richard Jackson called me from Australia, where he was teaching with one of the greats in our field, Jenny McConnell. He was out there teaching with her, and he called me from Australia on his dime, and we talked for about an hour and a half, where as an audacious early professional, I was asking if I could go with him to CSM and meet his colleagues like Jenny McConnell and have access to him and learn from him and grow with him. And he laughed and said, well, you better be careful what you wish for, because you're liable to get it here. And that, I think, is the summary of my experience, because when I joined Jackson Clinics, I asked for a particular clinic because a mentor was there who I had met during the interview process. And I thought, I have to learn from this guy. His name's Ken Herbal, incredible physical therapist. He's a wizard of PT. And I spent the next 5 years learning directly from him. I signed up for the OCS right away and took it with the support of the Jackson Clinics. I took over clinic director from Ken because he didn't want to do that. He just wanted to be an amazing PT and really liked it. And about a year in, asked Richard and Anna if they would allow me to join them in some senior management type meetings so I could learn about the business of PT for the Jackson Clinics. We started a residency program together with their support and developed continuing education programs and started a fellowship and just kept asking for opportunity. And every step of the way they laughed and said, be careful what you ask for. And so far it's been more than I could ever ask for. It's been incredible. Got to go to Kenya and Ethiopia to represent the Jackson Clinics Foundation. And now I'm an owner. It's just been a remarkable 13 years. What keeps me at the Jackson Clinics is I want to spend my career doing something truly worthwhile, building something of intrinsic excellence, genuinely trying to create an institution that has value at a global level. I want to help change our field by being a beacon of excellence. And as I look around, there are very, 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 very few institutions like the Jackson Clinics, where we have the freedom as a outpatient practice to be a bit more agile, where we have the support of senior leadership to have a very strong, intentional academic system. It's just rare to find that balance. And I could look forever and I wouldn't be able to recreate this. I could try to start my own, but I would never be able to recreate this. I realized over these past 13 years, because of the people and the system and the processes that we've developed, what we've created is so rare. I want to be part of building that. I couldn't find anything like this anywhere. So to me, when we say education is the difference, what that means is through our hiring process, through our student program, where we're taking the best of the best of the best students from the best schools in the country, and we're training them. They then become our team members. And those team members then spend, weeks learning our system and getting mentored by faculty members in our orthopedic residency program, then becoming orthopedic residents themselves and moving on to become fellows and fellowship faculty members. That opportunity to constantly grow and develop as a professional translates into better care. That when we have people who are motivated to truly be excellent and care for patients at that level, then we have a chance to be world-class. And that's, from my perspective, if we can scale that, if we can build that in a way that every single clinic, every single time, every single practitioner has that mentality and that drive and that motivation, then we will stand out in the world. And it will translate into care for our patients that is world-class. A common misconception about physical therapy is that it is a commodity. And what I mean by that is, An x-ray is an x-ray is an x-ray. It doesn't matter where you go to get an x-ray. An x-ray is an x-ray. So some people believe that the same is true for physical therapy. Physical therapy is physical therapy is physical therapy. If you go to get physical therapy, it's the same in one place as another. That is a huge misconception, and I would compare it to going to see an orthopedist. Who you go to helps to determine your outcome. You would want to go to the person who knows the most, who is the best, and hopefully who's also nice, who has a good bedside manner. And that's true for physical therapy as well, and it's not something that a lot of people understand. In the Jackson clinics, we try to very carefully vet who we bring on the team. We are looking for those elite of the elite of the elite, because we want people to recognize that when you go to the Jackson clinics, it is different than when you go anywhere else. Where physical therapy sits in the spectrum of musculoskeletal care is a very, very, very common misconception. When someone is in pain, there are a ton of different options. You can get acupuncture, massage therapy, chiropractic, physical therapy. Sorting through which to choose can definitely be confusing. Physical therapy is fundamentally different from all of those other fields in that we see ourselves as expert biomechanists. We understand the human machine, how it operates, how it functions, the anatomy of it, the interaction of those various pieces, and how that translates into function. All of those other fields have an important place in caring for elements of the human machine. Physical therapy, especially at the Jackson clinics, puts the pieces of that puzzle together. We are the expert mechanics. If you've got a multi-million-dollar machine, if you've got a, rare Maserati, you want to take that to a mechanic who knows their stuff, who understands the entire functioning of that machine. And yes, you might get tires from one place and, a new coat of paint from another. That's totally fine. But the mechanic who understands the machine is different from those who provide services to that machine. And that's, I think, what fundamentally separates physical therapy from auxiliary fields. We work closely with all of those other providers, and our preferred role is to be the quarterback. Great question. For those who aren't in PT school yet, who want to decide about the profession of physical therapy, there's a few prerequisites. First of all, you have to want to spend your life serving others. Physical therapy as a field will not be the right fit for you if you are not motivated to serve. Next, you have to do very, very well in school. It probably starts in middle school, where you're learning study skills, you're honing in on science and math and other areas that are important for getting to a doctoral level in a scientific field. As you progress into high school, maintaining a very strong grade point average and getting well steeped in science is important. If there's anatomy and physiology offered in your school, do that. Physics is really important because biomechanics is physics, just applied to the human body. Psychology is really important if that's something that's offered at a high school level. But you need to do quite well, maintain a good GPA, and really set your study habits so that when you get to college, you can nail it. Obviously, you need to take tests in high school to get into college, and then you'll need to take tests in college to get into PT school. The one that is used right now is the GRE. So being able to do well on that is important too. What DPT schools want to see from candidates who are coming out of college is not only academic skill and acumen, but also that personable nature. That's that willingness to serve. So they should see that you volunteered. They should see that you've spent time in physical therapy clinics to actually understand what life is actually like there. You should have a diverse resume of activities. Just going to school isn't enough to get into PT school. You need volunteerism, you need shadowing, you need work experience. And if you do all those things, then you set yourself up well to compete. PT school is pretty competitive, but again, if you've got that will, you've got that motivation, you really want to serve, and you study hard, you can get there.
Great, that was really great. Anything else that you...
To become a Jackson Clinic's physical therapist, first thing you have to have is an incredible passion for being excellent in physical therapy. Being a physical therapist is not enough. You have to want to be elite in your field to culturally fit in the Jackson Clinics. So that's step one. Step two is you have to be willing to act on that passion in very tangible ways, like pursuing orthopedic residency or sports residency, constantly, relentlessly pursuing education beyond that, being willing and interested in teaching at a high level, teaching students, teaching patients, teaching colleagues. And you need to be okay with constant change. To be innovative, for us to actually ever reach the heights that we're aiming for, we have to be agile as a practice, as a group. We need people who are interested in changing what's not working as well as it should. Things might be working, but if they're not working perfectly, then we need to be willing to change that. So we need people who are flexible, adaptable, and motivated to constantly improve, even system structures and processes, which can be tough to do. So to join the Jackson Clinics, to be a Jackson Clinics therapist is not easy. It is not for someone who's looking for a job. It's for someone who's looking for a career and someone who wants to change her profession.